When the warden became the criminal, the shocking prison coup. The sound of boots echoed through the prison hallway. The guards were supposed to be doing a surprise search that morning, but what they found shocked everyone. Inside the warden's private office, hidden behind a locked filing cabinet, investigators uncovered stacks of cash, cell phones, and coded ledgers listing drug shipments, weapon drops, and gang member payments. At the center of it all was Warden Patricia Mitchell, the woman who had once been called the Reformer. She stood frozen as agents pulled open one drawer after another. The evidence was clear. The very person meant to keep the prison safe was running it like a criminal empire. But the real surprise wasn't just the contraband, it was who had helped her. Some guards stood silently in the hallway that day, their faces pale. They already knew what the investigators would find, because they had been part of it. The prison had fallen into Patricia's control so deeply that even the inmates feared her less than they feared disappointing her. She didn't just command respect through rules, she bought it, traded it, and sold it. That morning, the chain of command broke apart. The state police raided the prison, the warden was taken away in handcuffs, and for the first time, the truth began to spill out. A truth so unbelievable that it would shake the entire state prison system. But before this shocking moment, there was a story few knew. A story that began years earlier, when Patricia Mitchell was seen as a hero. Patricia had been appointed warden after a wave of violence nearly shut the prison down. Inmates were fighting, guards were quitting, and the state was desperate for change. She came in strong, sharp, and full of promises. "No more chaos," she said on her first day. "This prison will run on order." And it did, at least at first. She demanded discipline, installed new security cameras, and made surprise inspections that left lazy guards trembling. The governor praised her for turning the place around. Newspapers called her the Iron Warden. But behind those clean reports and public smiles, something darker was forming.
It started small, a deal here, a favor there. A gang leader offered information about rival inmates in exchange for easier cell access. Patricia accepted, telling herself it was just strategy. Then came the first shipment, contraband phones hidden in food trucks. She looked the other way, just once. Soon, that one favor became a habit. She realized how much power came from controlling what went in and out of the prison, and the gangs realized how much they could offer her in return. She wasn't just a warden anymore. She was becoming the queen of a secret empire. Under her watch, a shadow economy began to form. Inmates traded goods, guards smuggled items, and Patricia managed it all through trusted staff who answered to her, not the state. The official rules still existed, but inside those walls, her word was law. Even the toughest inmates followed her orders because they knew, with a single call, she could transfer them, isolate them, or protect them. At night, when the lights dimmed, the real business began. Phones buzzed, coded messages passed through cell bars, and secret deliveries arrived through back gates. And through it all, Patricia made sure her cut was secure. For a while, she believed she could balance both worlds, the honest reformer in public and the silent ruler in private. But corruption always demands more. As months turned into years, her network grew so powerful that even the deputy warden became scared to question her. Guards who refused to play along were threatened, demoted, or fired. Those who joined her side were rewarded with cash or promotions. The prison had turned upside down. Inmates and staff working together, with the warden at the top of their pyramid. But then, something went wrong. A new guard, Officer Lena Torres, noticed strange activity during night shifts. Trucks entering the prison grounds without records, officers exchanging bags with inmates, and orders that didn't make sense. She tried to report it quietly, but her messages disappeared. Someone higher up was blocking her. That's when Lena decided to contact state investigators directly and risk her life doing it. Her call would set off a chain reaction that no one could stop. As the investigators prepared their raid, Patricia had no idea her empire was about to crumble. She believed her secrets were safe, but one small voice was about to bring it all crashing down. And when the truth finally came out, the prison would erupt into chaos unlike anything it had ever seen before. The morning of the raid began like any other. Breakfast trays clattering, guards shouting orders, and prisoners lining up for count. No one inside the prison had any idea that just beyond the gates, black SUVs filled with investigators were waiting for the signal to move in. Inside her office, Warden Patricia Mitchell sipped her coffee and scanned her reports. She felt calm, in control. Her network had been running smoothly for years. Every deal, every shipment, every secret payoff passed through her hands. The system worked because she made it work. Then came the sound, a sudden crash at the outer gate. Patricia froze. Within seconds, alarms echoed through the corridors. Officers were yelling. Radios screamed with overlapping commands. And before she could even rise from her chair, armed investigators stormed in, shouting her name. "Warden Mitchell, step away from the desk, hands where we can see them."
Her mind raced. This wasn't a drill. This was an invasion. She tried to demand answers, but her voice shook. When they cuffed her, she saw the looks on her officers' faces, some shocked, others looking away, pretending they didn't know her. But many of them did, and that was the real danger. Within minutes, word spread across the yard. The warden has been arrested. The balance of power that had kept everything in place snapped like a broken chain. Inmates began to yell through their cell doors. The guards who had worked for Patricia panicked. Some destroyed evidence, others locked themselves in offices. The prison, for the first time, was leaderless. While Patricia was escorted out under heavy guard, chaos unfolded inside. The gang she had empowered were furious and confused. They believed she had betrayed them. Some thought she had struck a deal with the police. Others feared they were next. The cell blocks became battlegrounds. Fights broke out, alarms blared, and officers struggled to control the inmates who suddenly realized that the rules no longer mattered. In the control room, Officer Lena Torres, the woman who had exposed the corruption, watched everything unfold on the monitors. She had been told to stay inside until backup arrived, but she couldn't just sit there. She had risked her life to bring down Patricia, and now the entire prison was tearing itself apart. "Lock down all units," she shouted into her radio. "Now!" But it was too late. The gangs were already moving. Inmates who had been favored by Patricia started taking charge, giving orders and trying to protect their profits. They knew that if investigators reached their hidden stashes, cash, phones, drugs, it was over. Lena grabbed her baton and ran toward the east wing where the shouting was loudest. Smoke filled the air. Someone had set a mattress on fire. The smell of burning cloth and sweat was everywhere. She found a group of guards cornered by inmates near the kitchen. "Back off," one inmate shouted, holding a piece of sharpened metal. "We ain't going down for her mess." Lena stood firm. "She used all of you," she yelled back. "She doesn't care about you. None of this was for you." The inmate hesitated, just for a moment. That was enough time for backup to arrive and force them back into their cells. But the chaos didn't stop. It spread like wildfire through every block. Outside, as Patricia sat in the back of the police car, her face pale and silent, she could still hear the alarms echoing behind her. The empire she had built, her secret power, was burning down. At the state headquarters, prosecutors laid the evidence on the table. Bank statements, smuggled cash, text messages between her and known gang leaders, photos of contraband hidden in supply trucks. Every secret she thought she had buried was now exposed. But what truly shocked the investigators wasn't how much she stole. It was how far her control had gone.
She had approved staff promotions based on loyalty to her network. She had moved violent inmates into special cells to keep her deals running smoothly. She had even arranged fake disciplinary reports to silence guards who questioned her. And it wasn't just her prison. Evidence suggested her influence might have spread to other facilities, wardens, officers, even contractors who helped move the illegal goods. It wasn't just a scandal, it was a system. By nightfall, the prison was under control again, but barely. The National Guard had been called in to secure the perimeter. Helicopters circled overhead, and inside, dozens of guards and inmates were being questioned. Lena sat in the command office, exhausted, her uniform streaked with dust and ash. She stared at Patricia's nameplate, still resting on the desk. For years, that name had meant authority, respect, fear. Now it was just a reminder of how corruption can twist even the most trusted people. Outside, the rain began to fall. Reporters gathered by the gates, shouting questions. Was the warden working with gangs? Is this the biggest prison scandal in state history? Who else is involved? Lena looked out the window and whispered to herself, "This isn't over." Because deep down, she knew Patricia hadn't acted alone. There were still people inside the system protecting her secrets, people who would do anything to keep their names out of the headlines. And somewhere out there, someone was already planning to take back control of what she left behind. 3 weeks after the raid, the prison was still under emergency lockdown. The walls that once echoed with routine now buzzed with fear and suspicion. Every guard, every inmate, and every administrator was under investigation. Nobody knew who to trust anymore. In a small interrogation room downtown, Patricia Mitchell sat across from federal investigators. The once powerful warden looked pale and tired, her sharp confidence replaced by silence. Her hands trembled slightly as she picked up a paper cup of water. The lead investigator leaned forward. "Ms. Mitchell, we know you didn't do this alone. The ledgers show transfers to other prisons, other officials. You can help yourself, but only if you start talking." Patricia stared at the table, her mind racing. She had built her empire carefully, making sure no one could connect the dots back to her. But now, with everything gone, she was realizing the same people who once bowed to her were ready to throw her to the wolves. Finally, she spoke, her voice calm but heavy. She said, "You think I was the only one? You have no idea how deep it goes." Back at the prison, Officer Lena Torres was helping the Special Task Force piece together the final parts of the puzzle. They discovered encrypted phone messages between Patricia and a network of contractors who supplied food, maintenance, and construction services to several state prisons. These companies were more than suppliers. They were partners in the underground economy. The food trucks that came in with rice and beans often left with phones, tobacco, and drugs hidden in sealed containers. Each delivery was logged and approved under Patricia's authority. But one message stood out. A payment request marked Safe House Maintenance, Warden South Unit.
It led investigators to another shocking discovery: a storage warehouse owned by a company registered under a fake name. Inside were boxes of smuggled phones, prison uniforms, and stacks of cash sealed and tape marked with inmate numbers. This wasn't just one warden's operation. It was a network stretching across multiple prisons. Patricia had been one of its top leaders, but not the top. Someone else had been pulling strings from above. Late one night, Lena received a call from an anonymous number. The voice on the other end was low and steady. "You think locking her up ends it?" the caller said. "She was just a piece of the puzzle. The real power, it's still inside." Then the line went dead. Lena froze. She knew what that meant. The investigation was about to get darker. Whoever that voice belonged to was watching every move they made. The next morning, one of the guards who had agreed to testify against Patricia was found unconscious in his home. No signs of forced entry, no struggle, just silence. Word spread quickly, and witnesses began backing out. Fear returned. The prison system wasn't just broken, it was infected. Meanwhile, Patricia's trial became national news. Every channel ran her story, the warden who turned criminal. Crowds filled the courtroom, watching the woman who once ran one of the toughest prisons in the country, now standing in a jumpsuit surrounded by officers she used to command. The prosecutor laid out the evidence piece by piece: the bribes, the fake contracts, the smuggling network, the violent cover-ups. But what shocked everyone most was the testimony from a surprise witness, a former deputy warden from another state facility. He revealed that Patricia's actions were not isolated. There were others, wardens, officers, even regional directors who used their positions for profit and control. The prison system wasn't just corrupt, it was organized, he said on the stand. Gasps filled the courtroom. Patricia looked down. For the first time, she appeared frightened. The empire she once controlled had become too powerful for even her to stop. And now that she was exposed, she knew the people above her wouldn't let her live freely, not even behind bars. Weeks later, after her conviction, Patricia was transferred to a maximum security prison, the same kind she once managed. Her arrival drew whispers from inmates who had once feared her name. Some laughed, others glared. When she stepped into her new cell, she found a folded note on the bed. It read, "Power changes hands, but the game stays the same."
She froze, her eyes scanning the walls. Someone inside the prison already knew who she was and wanted her to remember that the system she built still lived on. Outside, Lena Torres watched the prison gates close behind Patricia. Justice had been served, at least on paper. But deep down, Lena knew the truth. Corruption doesn't end with one arrest. It hides, it waits, it grows again. As she drove away, the radio played a breaking news report. Another state prison under investigation, another warden suspended, and another whisper of contraband smuggling. Lena turned off the radio and stared ahead, her jaw tightening. The fight wasn't over. Because somewhere, beyond the walls and the headlines, someone else was already planning the next move in America's hidden prison empire. The fall of Warden Patricia Mitchell revealed just how deep corruption can run when power meets greed. But even as the walls close in, the shadows of control inside America's prisons continue to grow, waiting for the next warden to rise and fall. Don't forget to subscribe.